What's up? I'm Sam Ekstrom. Welcome to the Vikings Squad Show. Today, I pound the table for a quarterback to acquire via trade, and it's not Mac Jones.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan with Wide Left Football. I have no idea what I'm doing here.
What's happening? Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Now it's the Vikings and Twins that are in a bidding war for Kyler Murray's services. That's nice.
Skol! It's the Vikings Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Vikings Squad Show starts now.
Yes, it does, and we're glad you're with us. I'm Sam Ekstrom. You met Luke and Arif. Let's roll on a Tuesday Vikings Squad Show, streaming on Locked On Vikings audio and the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, free and available on the #1 sports podcast network. We've got speculation and rumors abounding. Mac Jones, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, all connected to the Minnesota Vikings. We talk about the credibility and the feasibility of acquiring those targets. We'll play a little game I like to call Would You Extend? Plus, free agency preview continues with the offensive line needing a center, needing a swing tackle. Who do the Vikings go get? We're assuming they need a center. And, of course, Luke Inman's prospect of the day, episode 6 today, after he gave us Emmett Johnson on Thursday. You want me to pound the table now, or you want me to pound the table in 5 minutes? I think I should just pound the table now. So,
Okay.
Mac Jones, I would say.
Thanks for the feedback.
I thought we were going to vote on that, but okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If I pound the table, does it? Yeah, it kind of like rattles.
Yeah,
the
no,
camera
yeah.
a little bit.
I like that effect, actually, yeah.
I'm gonna speak, or maybe I should speak in the hushed tones that Brian Flores spoke about Isaiah Rodgers in. Maybe I should go the opposite way and just get real hushed. The Vikings should not care about Mac Jones. Should not care about Mac Jones. Great price. I'll give you that. Great price. $3 million. That's nice. In the best possible conditions in San Francisco, with the best play caller, ton of talent, good defense, he was a good quarterback. He was an average quarterback. He was like the 15th, 20th best quarterback in football. He got some wins. He was good in play action. He is not making a lot of big-time throws. He's not moving around very well. He's not a scrambler. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's nice with some good play action scheme. The Vikings should go get Geno Smith. That is 100% a top 10 to 15 quarterback in the league consistently for a 3-year stretch. I'm pressing delete.
Does that 3-year stretch include last year?
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm pressing delete on the entire Raiders experiment. Didn't happen. I'm wiping the slate clean. It didn't happen. As far as I'm concerned, he is coming off a 3-year run in Seattle where he might have been the best deep ball thrower in the National Football League. Mac Jones is the worst, by the way. He is wonderful at using his legs. He can throw in volume. He's a play action quarterback. He can play out of play action. I'm all into the Geno Smith acquisition. That would be my play. Mac Jones, I mean, you've got Bill Barnwell suggesting giving up a 2nd, 3rd, and 5th for Mac Jones. I'm not interested. In fact, I think the Raiders would be more interested in trading Geno Smith, and the 49ers would be in trading Mac Jones. So I'm on the Geno bandwagon.
Can I just say real quick, the longer that Barnwell article went on, like the weirder and weirder it got.
Long article. Yeah.
like I'm all for hypotheticals, especially in the offseason. We're all just kind of grasping at straws. We don't know what's going on, trying to throw some darts on the board. But the amount of detail Barnwell went into with the compensation and the picks and these conditional picks, if Mac Jones plays more than 4 games, they send an extra 5th. But if he plays more than 12 games, that 5th turns into a 3rd. If he starts a game in 2027, you got to send another 3rd. I honestly, I guess I'm almost impressed.
But if he signs a contract before the blue moon,
before the lunar eclipse, before the weekend, Pacific time zone, sure, what? Almost impressed, actually, for all the detail.
Sees a shadow.
For all the detail that he went into. But yeah, I'm with, surprisingly, Sam, of the 2 or 3 options that have been floated out there, Mac Jones being one of them, Geno, Kyler Murray we can get into as well. I think for Mac Jones, I'll start there first. I don't, when it gets into giving up premium capital, it's really hard for me to get on board, just given the state of the Vikings roster right now. I know they got to bring in a quarterback in the worst way to compete with J.J. McCarthy. I know it's super slim pickings out there as far as like legitimate solid options go that you feel good about if the guy's got to go start 6, 7, 8 games and go, win you games and be competitive and run that offense. But I think when you look at the Vikings roster right now, just from where it is from like a team building standpoint in 2026 and beyond, they're expensive, they're over the cap, they're old, and outside of maybe 2, 3 guys, they don't have a lot of young cornerstone talent you feel really good about building around. And the draft is the lifeblood. We talk about that every year. It's hard when you go 4 straight years and have the second worst hit rate in the draft of any other team. Eventually it's going to come back to haunt you. And I think, as important as it is to get another quarterback in here to compete, finding a way to do so while not giving up premium draft picks, and that's not always just a first round pick, but top 100 picks. That's got to be at the top of the list, I think. So maybe a separate conversation. Maybe you want to go get a guy like, whether it is Geno, or maybe, we've talked about guys like Anthony Richardson for late day 3 pick and build him back up. Those are separate conversations, but handing out more early draft capital for a guy who, and Mac Jones, I think looked decent in 8 games. But up to that point, didn't really have a great track record. I got a hard time getting on board with that. I need every pick possible if I'm the new GM for the Vikings.
He was really abysmal with Jacksonville. Mac Jones was. He went 2-5. He was probably like the 30th to 35th best QB last year. We
can eliminate Geno Smith's year with the Raiders, but we can't eliminate Mac Jones's year with the Jaguars.
That's
at least Geno did it, though. At least Geno did it.
That's a good needle. That's a good, I'm glad that you poked away at that. Okay, so let's delete both. Under good conditions, who was better?
No, hold on.
Geno in Seattle, Mac in San Francisco.
How about this? The last time the Vikings acquired a backup quarterback from the San Francisco 49ers, it went, I would argue, reasonably well. The guy that they last acquired had a below average yards per attempt, ranked dead last in the league in deep ball accuracy percentage. Dead last. 0.0% adjusted accuracy rate in San Francisco on deep balls. Was a little bit dependent on play action in both Carolina and San Francisco. Was not really considered much of a scrambler. Was considered a pocket passing quarterback. Now, I don't know, Sam. I was looking at Mac Jones's deep ball percentage, and to me, it looks like it was at 45% in adjusted accuracy, once you account for drops, right? And 45%, that is just slightly better than Daniel Jones was the same year. Identical to Josh Allen the same year. I
didn't know we were adjusting here. I didn't know that we were adjusting.
So he's at fault for the drops. That's what we're saying. He's at fault for the drops. Got it. Okay.
He was 5 of 21.
It's within a percentage point of Lamar Jackson's deep ball percentage in adjusted accuracy last year. I don't know that he was as bad at the deep ball as you're saying.
Worth noting maybe as well, Shefty came out, who's obviously very dialed in, that Mac Jones ain't going anywhere. Obviously, a lot can change and will change over the next few months. But it feels like the Niners
the team needs to put that out there to increase his price. Speaking of, I was looking at the prices that Bill Barnwell put together. So for at first, right? At some level, we have to understand that writing a piece with 11 trade proposals is like different in character than writing a piece with 1 trade proposal, right? If you're writing a piece with 1 trade proposal, you are strongly advocating it. It's deeply researched. Not to say that there wasn't a lot of research that went into this 11 trade piece, but I think it's like more throwing a bunch out there. Like, that's the assignment, right? And some of these trades are actually not too bad, right? I thought the Pittman-Leggett trade was really well explained and an intriguing idea after I read through it. Walker Little to the Browns, I thought that was a really good trade proposal. But going through all these conditions, right? Because you mentioned that there's like a ton of conditions, right? And it was kind of complicated to follow. So it's not exactly a second plus a future fifth plus a future third, right? That's what's listed in the little, at the very top of the trade introduction, right? So if he starts 12 games for the Vikings in 2026 and then gets re-signed to a new contract, that's a second plus a future third plus a future third, getting a future third back. Or a future fifth back, whatever, right? There's a lot of moving parts, right? But that net value by most of the trade calculators is a late first, early second. And in a world where you're re-signing Mac Jones after he started 12 games for you, you're probably happy to do something like that, right? You're probably in a Sam Darnold situation.
You're like, right back there. That's a little concerning to me that, okay, it's a 1-year Band-Aid, you're giving up 3 draft picks, and then what?
You don't have to pick. You don't have to give up 3 draft picks if it's a 1-year Band-Aid, because the final condition on the 2028 pick assumes he gets re-signed. If he doesn't get re-signed, you don't got to worry about that conditional pick. So there's only 2 picks. Okay. Yeah. So, and if he never plays it down, the value is a second and a future fifth, which, after accounting for the pick you get back, levels out to an early third or late second. Kind of high for a backup quarterback who might be able to mentor your young quarterback, right? But I think kind of low at the top end if you get this outstanding outcome in a world where he starts for you and then gets re-signed. So I don't think Mac Jones is a bad idea at all. Let Kyle Shanahan be your quarterback's development coach. I don't care. The goal is to win games with your quarterback, right? Like, that's fine. So bring Mac Jones in. I think he's been better more recently than Geno Smith. I think that's something to keep in mind. Now, in a world where you don't trade, right, and given the relatively high price of this trade, I'm not against a Geno Smith signing. I just think Mac Jones is a better option. But I do think of all the free agency options, Geno Smith is not a bad one. I agree with you, Sam, that the Las Vegas Raiders year is not fully representative of what this old man might be capable of.
35.
Yeah.
Only 35.
Yeah. I completely
man.
agree. And does that mean that we just spent the first 13 minutes of the show talking about Geno and Mac Jones? Can we put the Kyler Murray? Can we put all that stuff, those rumors? Can we put that to bed? Are we good on Kyler? I mean, since 2020,
if you can't sign these other guys, I'd rather have Kyler than like Marcus Mariota, which I also think is a fine option. But
could Arizona? Well, is Arizona cutting Kyler? Like, is he?
I think we assume he's being cut.
If you're trading, if you're trying to surpass him hitting the market, and you do make a trade, probably for a late round pick, could Arizona take some back, or would they? I don't know what they're I don't think they're saving anything by cutting him. Are they? Isn't the debt?
I haven't looked into that because
I think they're eating like $57 million.
Like an absurd dead cap number.
57. Yeah.
Breer suggested that they would be cutting him in the scenario that we're talking about. So that's what I've been operating off of. I haven't looked at can they take on more, but yeah. Given that his cap charge is $52 million and the debt is $54 million, it's almost even-ish if you cut him. Like, you're just getting rid of the headache, I suppose. For a dead
again, going back
to
draft capital, somebody's got to come in here and stop the bleeding with the draft in itself. And I think you do that by stockpiling picks, not giving them away. Now, again, quarterback, obviously, very important position. They got to bring somebody in. I just think when it comes to Kyler Murray, I've just never really been a big fan to begin with. Since 2020, how many times do you think he's played a full season?
Since 2020? I would say once.
One time. 2024. Missed 21 games over the past 3 years.
21 games!
Never really been able to stay healthy for long stretches, obviously, which makes sense. You're a mobile quarterback who's about as small as they come, by the way.
Size of a toddler,
that makes sense. Probably only going to get worse. And even when he was healthy, he was never a 500 quarterback. He never had a winning season. He didn't even have a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, I think, in 2024. When he did play a full season, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So I'm just not that sold that he was ever like that good to begin with. Not to mention, Sam, to your point, are you going to have to eat some of this contract because that's a massive thing? Are you going to have to trade picks for him? Because I don't want anything to do with that. I'm way out on Kyler. As fun as he would be playing, Madden with him and Justin Jefferson and Addison, sure. But I can't get on board. I'd much rather gamble on somebody like Geno. I'm with you, Sam, and bank on the fact that every quarterback in Vegas that's been put in Vegas the past 5, 6, 7 years has stunk. And I feel like Geno is a good buy low. He's a good buy low candidate too, compared to Mac Jones and Kyler Murray.
But speaking of former Vegas quarterbacks, I do want to get Sam's opinion on the Derek Carr, David Carr kind of interaction where they strongly implied something about the Vikings. Were they implying that they would say no to the Vikings, or that he wanted to be on the Vikings but didn't want to say that out loud?
Yeah, so I got to get caught up on that. I've heard the Derek Carr rumor, and I saw Kellen Mond chime in on Twitter and say, because he must have been in the building, Kellen Mond said the Vikings were in on him in 2023. And I don't know how credible that one is. Thank you, Kellen Mond, though. Breaking news.
Same regime, right?
Let's hit the break. Let's hit the break. Come back. Say more things we don't like about Kyler Murray. We'll address the Derek Carr unretirement, and we'll address the C.J. Stroud rumor. Not to the Vikings necessarily, but that he could be available. All very interesting. Veteran quarterback roulette continues next.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
Matt Derry looks fantastic in that ad read. Welcome back to the Vikings Squad Show. Again, streaming Locked On Vikings, audio free and available on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. I'm all the way out on Kyler Murray. I don't really want the baggage or the reputation, and I was willing to delete the Mac Jones, Jacksonville. I was willing to delete the Geno Smith, Las Vegas. I don't know if I'm willing to delete almost a decade of Arizona time. There were some good teams. There were some talented teams there in Arizona, and he's had one winning season. He's got 0 playoff wins, can't stay healthy, and he plays too much Call of Duty.
One winning season and how long?
I don't care about the winning season thing. I think he's had bad coaches. I don't judge quarterbacks by wins. I want to take a look at how he plays. I think the availability thing is real. That makes sense. I'm concerned about that. I am a little bit concerned about his inability to maximize receiver value. I think that receivers have not performed statistically as well with him as they should have, right? I'm concerned about his operation in a timing-oriented offense, which the Vikings, it's not as timing-oriented as a lot of West Coast-type offenses, but it is still something where the structure matters a lot. You want a guy to stay in the pocket, which Kyler is not very good at. There are a lot of things I'm concerned about with Kyler Murray. I don't care about the record thing. I think Cliff Kingsbury was a bad head coach, right? I don't think Gannon was a very good head coach. But I think that you invest all this time into like an offensive line, right? You all this time and money to an offensive line just to get a guy who's going to like bail out and scramble a ton. I don't know. Again, in a scenario where you're deciding between, say, Kyler Murray and Marcus Mariota, especially one where Kyler Murray just got cut. He's got a bunch of guaranteed money coming in anyway, so maybe it'll be a little bit easier to negotiate with. Yeah, sure. I'd prefer him over, and again, I like Marcus Mariota. I'm just saying, like, I'd prefer somebody who's got starting quality over somebody who doesn't, even though it costs more. But if we're debating between Kyler and Geno and even a trade for Mac Jones, I have a lot of system fit concerns with Kyler, where I just don't think that, even though he's got a relatively strong arm, despite the size, even though he does have a pretty decent deep ball, I'm concerned about the durability. I'm concerned about the system fit. You know, when the idea behind what you do is that you've got a good offensive play caller and a good, play designer, and you get a guy who that's not that important, and in fact they maximize their value outside of that, I feel like you're mixing kind of oil and water a little bit, and you're paying for stuff that you're not being able to take advantage of either on the coaching side or on the quarterback side.
Yeah, well said. Agreed there. I wonder how expensive he would be too, even if the Cardinals just outright just cut him. Like what kind of contract is he going to sign for? Once he moves on from that massive, again, $52 million, I want to say. I mean, he signed a 5-year, $240 million deal, I want to say 2 years ago, maybe 3. So yeah, again, Sam, going back to just the value, buy low on Geno, don't have to give up draft picks, or at least premium draft picks, top 100 draft picks, plus the money. Obviously the Vikings got a lot of work to do with the salary cap. Of these 3 options that we've talked about anyways, I'm with you, Sam. Let's go Geno.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 categories here. There's Mac Jones, who you acquire if you still have hope for J.J. McCarthy. There can be a competition. There is not a competition with Geno Smith. There's not a competition with Kyler Murray. They become your quarterback. But what I like about Geno as well is that
I don't know that there wouldn't be a competition with Geno after the year that he had. I don't think his market is that hot, relatively speaking.
I think if Geno is who you believe he can be, the Seattle version of Geno, what's cool is that you kind of get a free roll in 2027 with him. It's not a 1-year Band-Aid. It's a risk-free. There's no dead money on the 2027 part of that deal. You can bring him back, team option, more or less, in 2027 at a fair price for a good starting quarterback. I like that that's on the table. It's not on the table with Mac Jones. You'd be in the Darnold conundrum. You'd have to talk about extension, and you'd probably, then you'd feel obligated to sign him because you can't let the next Super Bowl champion walk away again. I'm scared about being in that position. But what about the latest rumor? What about C.J. Stroud, rumored to be, and this is kind of unimaginable to me that this would be on the table, but let's indulge. C.J. Stroud, would you be in? And this would probably be Inman premium draft compensation you'd be giving up.
This has got to be like multiple firsts, yeah. I would imagine.
Deshaun Watson pricing.
Yeah, he's obviously. I mean, first of all, you got to ask the question: why would he even be available? Obviously, he's had his playoff struggles. He feels like he's almost regressed the past 2 years. Had that great rookie year, and since has regressed. As Bryce Young, his counterpart, has developed year by year. But first question is, why would he even be available? Because, quote unquote, whether you think he's a franchise type quarterback, but these guys shouldn't be available more times than not. So why is he available? Why has he regressed, I guess, the last 2 years in this offense with Houston? And then again, the price point. Yeah, multiple firsts. It starts with 2, I would think. That's where the conversation just begins. But you'd probably get into that 2 firsts, if not 3, to your point, Sam. If nothing else, 2 firsts with a lot of change, right? Seconds and thirds, conditional picks, things like that. You're mortgaging a lot of the future there. And if you're going to do that, you got to be very confident that this guy and his regressions the past 2 years is something that you can work around and fix. And the best football of C.J. Stroud is still ahead of him, I think.
I think there's a couple of things here. I think both of you are underrating how significant the drop-off has been for Stroud since his rookie year. I would not make any comparison to the price that Deshaun Watson pulled. Because remember, Deshaun Watson, despite being a year off from football and having the background, was coming off of an MVP quality season. He led the league in yards per attempt by almost nearly a full yard. Like, he was doing an outstanding job moving the ball in 2020 before he and the Texans got into their tiff, and then before somebody, maybe the Texans, leaked a bunch of really damaging information about him that should have made him a toxic asset, but for some reason didn't. Stroud has not been performing nearly at that level and has never performed at the level that Deshaun Watson has performed at. He had a really good rookie year and has dropped off really significantly since then. It's not just a question of having those struggles in the playoffs, which of course he did, right? That is a big part of the conversation, but that's not the only part of the conversation as to why he dropped. I mean, like 2 years ago, 2024, he had under 6 adjusted net yards per attempt. It was pretty low. It was pretty alarming. His yards per attempt was just 7. It was below league average. He improved that to 7.2. He was dealing with a couple of receiver injuries. He has one of the worst offensive lines in the league. But I mean, so did Deshaun Watson, had one of the worst offensive lines in the league when he was traded too. I do think that there are reasons that,
well, he's got Ed Ingram. It's okay.
Hey, whoa, watch out. But I think there are reasons that he would be a significantly lower price than somebody like Watson coming off of all of the toxic stuff that should have implicated Watson more than it did. I don't think he's genuinely available though. I think what the Texans are doing is they're leaking this to give him a kick in the pants, right? As an external motivation, saying, hey, we're shopping you to other teams. If you want to stay here, you better get in gear. I think that's probably what it is. I have questions about how effective that kind of motivation is, but that's not as relevant as the fact that I think that's actually what's happening. I don't think he's genuinely available. I think the Texans are more likely to believe in him, but I do want to emphasize he has not been that great the past 2 years. I still believe in him. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, but I don't think his price is nearly the price that you're talking about.
Well, but here's the thing, though, Arif. When you'd be getting him 2 years left on that rookie deal.
Right.
20, the 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Which I think that changes the ball game when he's 24 and has 2 cheap years and he's at least shown the glimpses. And like you said, you believe in him. I'm sure there's a lot of coaches that believe they could do something with a quarterback like that. Maybe it's not Deshaun. I mean, maybe no team will ever pay that for a quarterback again after seeing what happened with Deshaun and the Browns. But I think it would hurt. It would be
sure. It is important
price.
It is important to understand it is 1 year of a huge discount, and then with the option 1 year of like a pretty reasonable like I wouldn't say it's 2 years of rookie contract pricing. It's 1 year of rookie contract pricing plus so the 5th-year option is $27.5 million for 6, which is, I believe, projected because you have to account for like the accolades,
the market
and the
moves
that
a little
changes
bit.
But which 27.5 for a quarterback that we perceive to be potentially the quality that CJ Stroud could achieve, that's a pretty good deal. But it's not the same as like $6 million or whatever he's being paid right now.
It just takes one team, though, to start a bidding war, right? I mean, there is half the league that is thirsty for improved quarterback play. There is 10 teams at least that have no idea what they're doing at quarterback. It just takes one team to, say, identify a 24, 25-year-old quarterback who did have a great rookie year and can't argue the fact you're right. Like these last 2 years have been pretty bad, but to have that rookie deal for 2 more years and then just again to get him out of a different environment, it's just such an important position. It just takes one team like the Jets or somebody to get into a little bidding war with somebody. All of a sudden the 2 first rounds and a 3rd and a 5th bump up to 3 first rounds pretty quick.
I would think it's probably something like a 1st-round pick, right? I think we all agree that there's no question that that's in it. And I think that the future first would be a conditional between 1st and 3rd, depending on like playoff performance and playing time and postseason accolades like Pro Bowl appearances and stuff, which is like crazy. It's pretty easy to make it to the Pro Bowl, and he didn't over the last 2 years. Like Shador made it. Like
premium quarterbacks being traded is very fun. It doesn't happen obviously very often. I'm thinking back, was it Carson Palmer was traded from the Bengals to the Raiders for 2 firsts?
he forced that issue pretty severely. Yeah. He threatened to retire rather than play for the Bengals. Yeah.
2 firsts though, I believe, for Carson Palmer.
But Carson Palmer was also coming off of...
No, he was coming up... No, at apples and oranges. I know. We don't have a lot to go off of as far as, like, legitimate starting quarterbacks. Even as bad as Stroud has been the last 2 years, legitimate starting quarterbacks being traded. That's all.
The chat really hates Geno. And I want to know, do you hate Geno?
Does the chat hate Geno, or do 2 people in the chat hate Geno?
I don't know. There's like 4 or 5. That's like everybody. Do you hate Geno because of his Raiders year? Do you hate Geno because of his age? Do you hate Geno because of what he showed you in Seattle? Like, is the Seattle version of Geno still a Geno that you can't get on board with? Because that to me is a quarterback that you can win with in the right circumstance. Yeah, is he gonna take last year's Jets and turn them into a contender? No. Is he gonna jump on though to if he jumped on to the current version of the Seahawks, if he came back, that team is still really good with Geno Smith. I think if the stars aligned and you were healthier, if you're the Vikings, that is, if you're healthier, your defense is functioning at a high level, I think that's a quarterback you can win with. The deep ball, phenomenal. The mobility, fantastic. Can throw in volume, right? Like that. I would give the keys to him for a year and take a shot. 100%. No hesitation. And it's what, 26 million did I see against the cap this year? Manageable. It's a manageable number. I can't get a read though on what the compensation would be. Like the Raiders are drafting Fernando. Mm-hmm. What do you have to give up to get Geno Smith would be my question. I don't think it's crazy.
Not a ton.
I wouldn't think so either.
Yeah.
3rd round pick, 4th round pick. Probably just 1 pick.
They'd probably be pretty happy to clear that money off the books too. And maybe there's dead money that, linger a year or two, but knowing Fernando is now our guy. And granted, you get rid of Geno, they're going to have to bring in some sort of veteran quarterback anyways, maybe a Marcus Mariota type. But clearing that money off the books, it feels like this is their new chapter 1 with a new head coach and a new quarterback, obviously drafted number 1 overall. This is year 1 of like that 3, 4, 5 year plan.
My understanding, and this could be completely incorrect, so this is just like I'm floating this one out based off of shadows of rumors, right? My understanding is that Geno, as much as I personally like what I know about him, not that interested in helping along young quarterbacks, despite what he himself kind of went through, which should make him a cheaper asset to trade from the Raiders, but should also give you a little bit of caution about bringing him into the building to kind of help with McCarthy. And maybe that changes, right, based off of, like, the environment that he's in and knowing that he's like 35 and there's like maybe 4 more years of his NFL life if he's lucky.
Imagine going from your number 1 receivers, Jack Beck, to Justin Jefferson. It's got to be nice.
Wait, for half the year it was Jacoby, right?
It was Jacoby for half the year, yep. Obviously, he's got Brock Bowers as well. But, when you talk about supporting cast, though, I know they used a top 10 pick on Ashton Genty and all this and that, but supporting cast, though, going from a place like Vegas to Minnesota, just offensively, night and day difference for any.
Let me just punctuate with this. And we know that the transitive property always works perfectly in sports. Mm-hmm. Right. Geno Smith, 362 yards in a win at New England on the road. He beat the AFC champions. Ipso facto, Geno Smith
should put you in the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl quarterback.
Put you in the Hall of Fame.
Got to have an offensive line, though, to protect whatever quarterback is under center for the Vikings in 2026. We preview centers and swing tackles in free agency next. And we're brought to you today by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing. Nightmare. The one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, personality. You're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Here's a stat, and I'm a stats guy. This says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, not even a minute, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing the candidates that check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Again, less time searching, more time interviewing. That's a nice exchange. Less stress, less time taken up, better results. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job Get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Right now, support our show. Say you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right. Free agency preview continues. We suspect, we're not sure, that the Vikings will need a center. We also know they need a swing tackle. So where do we start? Let's go to the drawing board. There are 2 premium centers that will be available. They seem a little bit priced out, but their names are Connor McGovern and Tyler Linderbaum. So if you want to spend most of your capital on one of those 2, feel free. Get a great center.
You could go after Andre James or Ethan Posich, who I believe in most,
feel like every
Posich has
every other year we have a Ethan Posich conversation on this.
We got Achilles.
We're due.
Like literally going back to the Senior Bowl, dude.
Right, going all the
other
way.
year.
Yeah, there's like 6'5" centers walking around.
LSU, yep.
I would love Ethan Posich sans the Achilles tear that he's currently dealing with.
Don't worry about it.
That's a little hindrance to me.
Don't worry about
injuries off, and we're fine.
What's a timeline on an offensive lineman for an Achilles? Can we go 9 months? Because 9 months gets him to September 7th post injury.
Perfect.
That's
amazing timing. That's amazing.
Just in time for week 1.
Yeah.
I gotta think that obviously Tyler Linderbaum is like the clear cut number 1 guy. I know you mentioned McGovern, but
why would the Ravens let go of him?
Right.
There's no way.
I gotta think he's definitely back in Baltimore. It's just he's so clearly in that elite tier of centers. You drafted him. He's homegrown, obviously. Baltimore used that late first round pick on him, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And he's panned out. I would be shocked knowing Baltimore as a franchise and their GM. I'd be shocked that they let him go. But weirder things have happened. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore has let free agents kind of test the market, and once they do, they don't go. But my understanding is that's typically defensive free agents, and not this. We've seen, who's that right tackle the Vikings wanted that the Lions ended up signing? Ricky Wagner, right? We've seen it on occasion with.
Who was the D tackle the Vikings did sign a couple years ago?
Michael Pierce.
Michael Pierce.
Loved him. Much better in Baltimore, both before and after
Correct.
the Vikings than he was with the Vikings. But, and again, we saw it with, was it Ronnie Stanley? I think he was a Raven before he moved around a bunch. So it does happen on occasion, but I would say, or not Ronnie Stanley, I'm thinking of Orlando Brown. It does happen, but I think that primarily that happens more defensively, and offensively I don't think they've got a clear replacement for him. So I don't see him going, but I would be on alert for him to potentially go. I'd put together a mock offer sheet in my front office and then have it ready to go if he actually becomes available after you do a bunch of rumor mongering at the combine coming up. So that's something to keep in mind. Otherwise, it's Connor McGovern, which is better than a nobody. Unless Michael Jerkins was done dirty by the previous offense by Chris Cooper, right? We would probably want to bring in a guy.
I would love to have a McGovern and a McGovern on the team. That'd be fun.
I don't love that, but
you like Andre James? I think Andre James would be fine. I think it would be a downgrade from Ryan Kelly. He started 4 years.
I don't know about that's a name that I have.
It is a name who exists. He's 28. He started for 4 years in Vegas. He was not deemed to be starting caliber on the market last year, and signed a $1 million contract to be a backup with the Chargers. So he's a couple of years removed. But yeah, he was fine. I'm actually surprised he didn't get a little more attention last year. 28 years old, that would be okay. Posich off the Achilles, that's too bad because I think he would have been a great option. Now, what about James Daniels, who, again, crazy signing.
Got cut, right?
Just got cut, and he's coming off
Miami's clearing house right now.
Sign him up. 28 years old.
I remember him coming out of Iowa, more of a guard, obviously, with Chicago.
Surprisingly small for an Iowa guy.
Surprisingly small for an Iowa guy. Ends up moving to center, though, a little bit with Chicago. They revamped their entire offensive line. I think he's hopped around quite a bit from year to year. I'm not sure how many years he's actually been in Miami, maybe no more than 2, but I just don't have the update on him. I don't know how good he looked in Miami this last year. Obviously, Miami's offense struggled. Oh, he didn't play at all?
He had 3 snaps. He had a very.
But how are those 3 snaps?
He did not give up a pressure.
He was fine in Pittsburgh before Miami.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Not amazing. I think fine is a good standard to kind of reach for after the year that the Vikings had. So
looks like he had
wouldn't
injury
hate
issues
it, but
2 years ago as well.
Yeah.
So 2 straight years playing 4 games total.
I would say,
how about Luke Fortner? I remember studying him coming out of
he
Kentucky.
available?
Yeah, interested. I'm interested.
I would assume. I'm
I'm
assuming New Orleans is going to sign him. And
he was really good. He was really good for about 12 weeks this year. And that's really the first time he's been good. He was not good with Jacksonville.
He was not good with Jacksonville, yeah.
But he was very intriguingly good this year for New Orleans, and he is available. I would be making a call for Luke Fortner. We've also got a KOC connection. Austin Schlottmann. Bring him home. Austin Schlottmann. He was good in 5 games with the Giants this year. We've got another KOC connection at swing tackle, Joe Noteboom from LA. Joe Noteboom.
I wouldn't mind Joe Noteboom. I'm surprised to learn Austin Schlottmann's a center. He played like when he was with the Vikings, he played like swing tackle.
Where does Blake Brandel fit in all this?
I think he should be a tackle. I think he should be a
swing tackle.
I think that's a good point, and I think he should be a tackle, but the Vikings consistently treat him like a guard. And so I like it for the purposes of these discussions, he should be brought up, but we should also think like the Vikings might not treat him that way, so we should take a look at some of the available like swing tackles on the market. Yeah. Also, keep in mind, so Keith Carter, the new offensive line coach, was previously the run game coordinator with the New York Jets, and you take a look at the body types that he was working with, and they're bigger than average. It's not like the zone running that we've associated with KOC for the first, which KOC has changed that, especially last year. There's been a lot more gap running, having Donovan Jackson and Will Fries in there as kind of these bigger bodies, Brian O'Neill, Christian Darrisaw were always big bodies, but they were also athletes. Having kind of less emphasis on wide zone especially, but just zone running in general, and having more emphasis on gap running and having these bigger bodies, we might think, especially given the history of the New York Jets, we might think that we're looking for less zone type guys and more all around guys, or these bigger, blocking guys, both when we're looking at a center. So somebody like an Ethan Posich, if he was healthy, right, could be good. But James Daniels, who I just looked it up, is not a small center, but plays really small, right? He's like a super zone center kind of guy. I would think that given that, we want to take a look at some of the swing tackles that are more kind of that mold, that play with more power necessarily than like finesse. So that's something to note.
I wrote down a couple other names for swing tackle. Larry Borum can play both sides. Done it for a long time. 2,500 career snaps. Like you want a couple different occasions, and I think they did this with Justin School. The Vikings are signing someone who hasn't proven that they can do this for a long period of time. Justin School did not have a great resume. He did not have an extensive resume. And it showed. And unfortunately, he was asked to do a ton. I don't want a player like that. I would like a player that has actually done this like as a fill-in starter for several full seasons, ideally. Larry Borum can do that. He's been designated a starter before. Is he amazing? No, but this is a swing tackle we're talking about. Mentioned Noteboom. Also wrote down Josh Jones. Was good with Seattle last year. Got ring cred.
Speaking of former Cardinals offensive linemen, what about Jonah Williams? He's played both the left and the right. He has been fine. I think that he won't get more than a backup contract in free agency. But among tackles who have played starting snaps, I would say he is slightly below average, which would make him a really high-end backup if he does get that backup contract. Did not play outstandingly well in Cincinnati, in my opinion. I think his PFF grades are good. I personally would not regard his time in Seattle as very good. I mean, he was limited in some ways. He's not a high-end athlete, and so they had to help him a lot. But yeah, I think he's pretty good. He's played both left and right. I think he's going to be in a backup market more than a starting market. I like him. Obviously, Josh Jones was like a draft crush of mine, so like I'm always down for
NC State?
that. Yeah. Well, no. Wait, is this a different Josh? No, yeah. He had incredible athletic testing. Mm-hmm. It was just I was confusing. Yeah, he had incredible athletic testing. His time in Arizona finished stronger than it started, I'll say. What was he, a third-round pick that got a little bit overdrafted? Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I dig it. Also, it wasn't NC State, it was Houston. That was it.
Okay.
Red jerseys, right? But yeah, no, that's I'd be down for that. But I do think that, Sam, you're right, that they should definitely be more proactive about exploring the swing tackle market, especially given like whatever was going on with Darrisaw last. Like, just be aware that you might end up playing that guy a lot.
Well, you know, in Alec Lewis's mock, we had Alec Lewis on the show last Monday, Sam, and you're looking at his mock, and I'm looking at second round pick, their second pick. They're taking a tackle from Clemson, Blake Miller, who I like as a prospect, but it got me thinking. First, I was surprised, like that's too for a backup kind of insurance guy. Like that's too early. That's too much premium draft capital to give up, but you know, they do need some help, is my point. He raised a good point that, you know, with the Darrisaw injury, him just kind of missing Wednesday or Thursday practice every single week, and then the snap count thing the first 5-6 weeks, and then also Brian O'Neill just getting up there a little bit. You know, I'm sure maybe we'll talk about him possibly being extended or not on this show, but at some point that conversation needs to be had as well. It's just such an important position in today's NFL, and it is really hard to find good quality tackles in free agency. Guys that you can just leave out there, not even necessarily on an island, not like that Darrisaw qual, but just guys you're confident in are tough to find in free agency. So a lot of times you just got to draft these guys.
So this is my big picture takeaway from our discussion. Swing tackles, absolutely available. Centers, you're either spending too much, you are getting somebody off a serious injury, or you're getting somebody that has a very short track record of success. I love it. Let's go. We're ready for this offseason.
And you bring in Derek Carr, and we're ready to roll.
Just have
let the chips fall.
Just have 4 second-round picks, and you'll be fine.
That's all you need.
Just do that.
So the Vikings are set. Rob Brzezinski, you've got the plan. We'll also give Rob some tips with the game. Would you extend? Coming up next, followed by Luke Inman's prospect of the day. And we're brought to you today by FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? I have. I hope it's at Target Center. FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board, thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I mean, obviously the Timberwolves, right? This is a good time of year to take futures. You're kind of coming off the All-Star break, take stock of where everybody's at, where the injury situations are at. You can put together like a division-winning future. Those are often, you know, you can find the team that's getting healthy, getting hot at the right time, get a good price. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future. Get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. One segment to go, prospect of the day soon, but first, would you extend? I've got 4 veterans to throw at you. We'll start with the guy we just mentioned, Brian O'Neill, entering the final year of his contract. Would you extend, Arif?
Gotta extend him. Yeah, So I think that you should keep plumbing the middle and late rounds for potential long-term replacement, but like you gotta extend this guy.
Inman?
Yeah, all about it. All about it. What, 30, going to be 31 coming up here? Still got for a tackle, still got plenty of juice left in those legs for another 2-3 years. And again, if you don't extend them and eventually you move on, that means you got to go find another right tackle anyways. This guy's been a captain and kind of the heart and the soul of that offense for a while now. So I
would think it would cost quite a lot to get 80% of his production anyway.
Well,
so yeah, you should extend him. And hey, the 2028 cap isn't real. Just dump all of the cap hit into 2028, and then you don't got to worry about it. It's fine.
You know, people think, again, 30, going to be 31. People think maybe he's getting a little long in the tooth. Again, some of these tackles can play 34, 35. And I'm not saying that his play hasn't maybe dropped off just a little bit compared to Brian O'Neill from 4 or 5 years ago. But even like B plus Brian O'Neill is still a very good right tackle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not A- Brian O'Neill we got 4 or 5 years ago, but it's still a really solid right tackle. Yeah, extend him. No brainer.
31 years old. You can get that cap number down probably. It makes sense. Probably not going to let this one run out on again, I think longest tenured Viking. I think we decided that. I think now if Harrison Smith retires, he becomes the longest tenured Viking drafted in 2018. Culture guy.
Old, dude. Jesus.
Yeah. I know. It's depressing. 2 more years. Tack on 2 more years. Who's next? Jordan Mason, final year of his deal. Would you extend? Inman starts.
I'm good on that one. Not to say that I don't like Jordan Mason and what he brought to the table last year. Just running back position, it's such a devalued now position. You can find these guys in the draft. Not a loaded running back class. We highlighted Emmett Johnson from Nebraska last week, but I just feel like you can always find some young, fresh legs in the draft. You grind these guys out for 3, 4, 5 years and you move on. Jordan Mason, I would not extend.
I would, obviously, depending on the price, with the caveat that I'm probably getting rid of Aaron Jones and bringing in somebody like a Breece Hall. Again, hey, Jets connection, former run game coordinator, maybe, right? But yeah, you would make it clear to Jordan Mason, who has been outstanding for the Vikings, that he is always going to be part of a committee, and that committee might be kind of a... you're gonna pair him with somebody who's got a lot of speed, like a Breece Hall, like a Travis Etienne, or something like that. But yeah, I would extend him, but it would be price dependent.
I think I want to have a plan beyond this year. Now, if your plan is to draft someone in the first 3 rounds, like Emmett Johnson, maybe that's the plan. Maybe you let it ride with Jordan Mason, and you've got the plan. You've also got Xavier Scott ready to go. But I would like to have like an adult in the room going forward. I at his age and without a lot of mileage really on him, I would be cool extending Jordan Mason at least 1 more year. Tack on another $6 million onto that deal, which is not prohibitive in any way, and maybe he becomes your bell cow in 2027. I'd be cool with it. Third one, Andrew Van Ginkel. They've already extended him once. They tacked on this year. This was an add-on year. What do you do with him now? AVG, the Gink.
That's a 1-year extension for me. He's older, and we saw how much the defense fell off without him on the field, and outstandingly, you don't really get this with a lot of defenders. He can back up multiple positions, right? So if you have a linebacker injury, and we'll figure out what to do with linebacker in a second, I'm sure. But if you have a linebacker injury, he could just play off-ball linebacker for you in a pinch, which is nice. And you got Dallas Turner and Jonathan Grenard up there at edge defender. I get that the Vikings have a lot of depth on the edge, and I get that Andrew Van Ginkel is up there in age. But he was so outstanding this last year, and I don't think that's going to last forever. But I think that if you're a team where they'll probably fire you if you don't make the playoffs 2 years in a row, you probably want to hold on to a guy that seemingly was as important to the defense as Van Ginkel was. So I'd extend him, but not for very long.
Yeah, I'm with you. Obviously, eventually his play is going to decline like they always do. But as long as Brian Flores is around and maximizing his kind of unique skill set, what makes him so good, I'm keeping him around as long as I can have him. Again, to Reef's a point I think you make, a lot of valid arguments as far as like maybe you got to be careful doing the 3-year extent. That's too much, but a year or two, absolutely, especially knowing Flores is going to be around the next couple of years too.
I love Van Ginkel, and I would also give him another year. Did you know he missed 21.7% of his tackles this year? Just a really high. He's undersized. I get it. Kind of a tweener.
When you play at the line of scrimmage, the missed tackle count is just a lot less important to me because usually you're slowing the guy down behind the line of scrimmage and someone else is making the tackle. So it's not that important. Now, if you do like have him play backup off-ball linebacker and he has to make the tackle 3-4 yards after the line of scrimmage, that becomes important. But like also the nature of a missed tackle there versus like, are these open field missed tackles or are they kind of like arm tackle, that kind of stuff. So not that important to me. Good to point out, but
Yeah, he's playing in space a lot more. Last one, Blake Cashman, final year of his contract.
I think, Sam, you brought up the adult in the room conversation with Jordan Mason. This is where I think the adult in the room conversation takes place. Like, who else are you going to have? Obviously, you can draft some guys and bring in some free agents, but outside of him and then pending free agent, obviously, next to him, who do you got? Ivan Pace? I mean, that's it. Like, we traded the Penn State kid. He's gone. He was supposed to be your young, up-and-coming developmental special teams early on, and then maybe eventually finds a role on defense. But, yeah, they got nobody. So I would extend him, at least 1 year, maybe even 2, because like Van Ginkel, 2 years ago, we saw the drop-off in the Flores defense specifically when Blake Cashman wasn't out there. Not considered this superstar, stud, impact linebacker, but real Vikings fans knows that watch these games week to week. This defense looks a lot different when Blake Cashman is and isn't out on the field.
Hassan.
There's not much to add. It's Blake Cashman. We talked about the on-off splits for Van Ginkel. The Cashman on-off splits the last 2 years have been insane. I think you have to extend this guy. Plus, he's one of us, right? He's a local guy.
One of us.
I had the stat on Grenard Van Ginkel. I think they went 5-2 when they both played. And I wonder when those two play with Cashman on the field as well, like 2-year sample size.
We were talking about linebacker wins last year or 2 years ago, right? That's how important Cashman was.
So I think we've arrived, not unanimously, but we are all open to extending everybody. Like, these are good players on your roster. O'Neal, Mason, Van Ginkel, Cashman, and several of them at or around age 30. We're good giving them money. We're good extending them into the future. I don't know if every team would subscribe to that when you have veterans that could be approaching a cliff, you're not giving them new money. But we're good. We like our guys. We're good with who we have. We want to keep them around.
The ones you named, yeah. The ones I don't like aren't up for extension. Get rid of those guys.
What if Rob Brzezinski is an absolute savage? Like, just hardline, principled, nope, I'm giving you nothing. This is his choice.
Then the Vikings have to be real comfortable with not making the playoffs this next year, and that it does not sound like that's who they are.
Well, not this next year. It would be 2 years from now, because the extensions, right?
Right, yeah.
2027.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah. Brzezinski's like, we're gonna get back on budget.
Coupon clipping.
I'm the cap guy. I'm gonna be the cap guy.
Spending. I'm tired of playing these cap gymnastics every year. I'm sick of it.
Sick of these Monday to Friday caps on this Monday to Friday playing.
That's the gong. Luke Inman, take it away.
Wait, didn't we have like 4 different other sounds for this?
It's been a long time.
Sam didn't pay the subscription fee. We lost him.
You've been here, yeah.
Those were like premium subs.
Yeah, I'm just a guest on the show now, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're out of the loop, dude. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, we got him back.
The card went through.
The card went through.
I swiped it.
Had the wrong payment. Yeah, let's get out of the first few rounds. Let's go a little bit deeper today. Let's go back to the defensive line. Grayson Halton, defensive tackle, Oklahoma. Hey. Ironically, another guy on Alex mock draft. Not trying to copy you, Alec. Just really like this guy. A young, explosive guy, kind of add to that middle of that defense with Brian Flores. I think about pairing him up with Jalen Redmond. That gives Flores a lot more talent and kind of creativity. He moved over all over the defensive line throughout his career at Oklahoma. 4-star recruit, by the way. Oregon, Miami, USC, Alabama all wanted him. He goes to Oklahoma. But he played the 3-tech. He played that 2-eye. He played some nose tackle. He even played a little 5-tech. So he's versatile, again, which Flores will get the most out of. But most importantly, I think he's just – when you think of his name, think a lot of juice in the tank. Very explosive, gets off the ball in a hurry. 8.5 sacks for a defensive tackle the past 2 years. Very solid numbers. 26 pressures, though, probably even more tells you the story, I think. 26 pressures, outstanding number. Multiple pressures every single game you're getting from your defensive tackle. SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week in 2024. 2024 was kind of his breakout year. Sounds like he had a really nice week.
A lot of people expected him to declare after 2024.
They did, yeah. And I wasn't down there this year, but sounds like he had a really nice week down in Mobile. Undersized, 6'2", 292. Don't have the arm measurements, but I know short arms has been brought up quite a bit with him. So is he a full-time starter? Definitely not right away. Probably not. Needs to add a little bit more strength, power against the run. Again, the short arms don't help. Gets washed out, kind of trying to anchor against double teams in the run game. But if you're just talking about adding some more juice into that pass rush, into that rotation on second and obviously third down more specifically, this is a guy with great upside getting into the backfield and kind of disrupting the passer. Plus a guy, again, we're not talking top 60 picks, maybe even top 100 picks. Probably a guy you can get late third, early fourth round range. So anytime you can build your trenches up, I'm a big fan. You saw it with Seattle, what they did. Not only this year, but obviously deep in the playoffs, winning the Super Bowl, winning up front, always the name of the game in this league on defense, being able to, get after the passer with 4 guys, specifically with interior pressure and muddy that kind of pocket. I think that's how, you build those really great elite defenses. So he's a guy I really like, especially when you're talking about day 3 picks. I think Alec had him going, I closed it out, but I want to say 6th round. 6th round seems very late for me, but I don't know.
I would be surprised. He's gotten a lot of buzz over the last couple of weeks, which buzz is just like a bunch of people have been tweeting about it.
But stock up kind of thing. Yeah.
But yeah. No, after his good week, I would be kind of shocked if he went in the 6th round and, the strong 2024 that he had. But
what do you think, at 3rd, 4th? Because that's what
I was thinking, like 4th.
Yeah, that's what I got.
4th.
Pegged down.
But we'll see after the combine. I think he was a combine invitee, if I remember. We'll see after the combine, kind of what happens to his stock, because if he turns out to be a super athlete, I mean, like, people have learned the lessons of like Aaron Donald. Like, if you're a great athlete,
for sure. Yeah.
Don't really care about the size and the arm length.
And I'm sure I could pull up the Senior Bowl measurements as well, but very also intrigued once he gets to Indy to see what those arms measure at. Wingspan, obviously one thing. I think that the arm measurement a little bit more important, but shorter arms, again, has kind of been one of the asterisks by his name as well. But again, interior pressure is still king in this league, and this guy gives you some real juice and explosiveness right in the middle of that defense. I think he'd be a great get, even if it was late 3rd. I'd be okay with that. They have that late 3rd round pick, that compensatory pick. Again, we'll see by the time we get to Indy and then obviously draft weekend. But if his stock kind of keeps up this pace, maybe even that late 3rd round pick, I'd be okay with. I think he's a really good player. You add him next to Jalen Redmond, and then you got that, developmental guy with Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, the way he flashed last year. All of a sudden, I feel like with Flores, his kind of creativity, his ability to kind of develop some of these younger guys, hopefully. I like that kind of new young core in the middle of that defensive line.
He's going to give up on having anybody over 300 pounds on that line?
Yeah, well.
You got Caden McDonald earlier draft, right?
Redmond's not 300, is he?
In this scenario?
I think officially Redmond's listed at 305. I don't believe he is. He's like 280.
Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
Well, you've already, because in your Prospect of the Day series, we've already drafted Caden McDonald. So now we have,
Oh.
and he's over 300, right?
Oh, I didn't know we were drafting all these guys. Okay.
Oh, I assumed that we're getting
no.
the whole team. We're getting Mansur Delane, we're
Yeah.
getting Aiden
Jake
McDonald,
Slaughter,
Jake
Dylan
Slaughter,
Thieneman, Emmett
Dylan
Johnson.
Thieneman.
It's
Inman,
tough
you
to
got to
do
come
these-
up with some more first-round quality guys if that's what's happening, man. You got to come up with more first-round.
No, we traded back. That's why we have all these picks. Wait, remember you said just go get 4
we traded back
picks?
and got Mansour Delane. That's incredible work.
And Cade
I
McDonald.
salute you,
Yeah.
Luke Spielman. Yeah.
Luke Spielman, how we not use that more? That's genius.
By the way, comment over here. Luke is saying Lee Hunter without saying Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter, I almost highlighted as well. He's more of a bottom third first round kind of guy from Texas Tech. Big boy, big monster, more of a nose tackle, but with some pass rush, kind of upside. He's another guy we should talk about eventually.
Did he just go to
draft.
the Ian Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft today? I think he might have just went to the 49ers.
Oh, did he just drop a new mock? I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I don't like it, but
Who do you have the Vikes taking?
I forget.
Jeremiah Love? Where'd Love go?
No, it was Dylan Thieneman, I think.
that guy?
yes, it was Thieneman at
Yeah.
18. That was our guy last week.
Yeah.
Love Thieneman.
But more of a.
18
I like all
was-
three of these
yeah.
safeties: AJ Halsey from LSU, Thieneman from Oregon, and the Toledo kid. Are any of them going to be there at 49? Is the question, and it feels like probably not. But boy,
Thieneman
if they
at
can get
18
one of
was
those
crazy.
guys,
Yeah.
that would be great value. Obviously, filling a huge position of need as well.
Teaser for Thursday. Alec Lewis rejoins, and he has once again been aggregated with something that he wrote. More controversy with Alec Lewis that will be addressed on Thursday. More prospect of the day, more free agency preview. We'll be doing running back free agency preview coming up this Thursday. Arif Hassan, we thank you. Luke Inman, we thank you. And I'm Sam Ekstrom. Appreciate everybody who watched, listened, commented, and subscribed. We'll talk to you next time on The Squad Show.